Live!
Ah!
All right, so this cup.
Yes, tell me about the cup.
It is a beautiful cup. Also, I will turn it around so that you can see the other side. There's a bird.
There's a bird.
So this is clearly handmade, right? Like somebody definitely made this. I'm not going to show you on account of it's full of tea, but even on the bottom, like the roots come across the bottom. Found this at Goodwill for $1.99.
What the fuck?
I was like, well, obviously this needs to come home with me. And it's such a great shape. Like it's so nice for, it's a little hot to hold it that way right now, but it's like a really nice
Right.
hand shape. So yeah, it is full of decaf Darjeeling and we are very happy about it.
Since we'll never know its actual backstory, I am going to invent one, which is that the creator of that pot got an opportunity to like sell all their shit and move to Costa Rica and like teach English to pearl divers or something, which was their lifelong dream. So they had to like leave everything. So they let it all go and ran off and chased their happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a really big fan when I see something at the thrift store that I know is handmade. I pick it up because I'm like, you know what? I have actually given stuff that I've made to the thrift store. Like I've given sweaters that didn't fit me anymore to the thrift store because I'm like, I don't know anyone else that this would fit.
Right.
And all I want as a creator is for it to go to someone who appreciates it. So
Right.
like this is one of my favorite mugs now and I love it and I'm sure the creator would appreciate that. I have a
Yeah.
painting on my wall that I got from Goodwill, but it's like someone followed a Bob Ross tutorial.
I think I've seen this one.
Yes, I think you have. It was in my old apartment too. And he signed it and I actually looked up the person who painted it and he was a loving doting father of I forget how many children and passed away a few years ago and um now I have his artwork. Thanks, Leonard.
Yay, Leonard. Um I I'm drinking out of my mug that used to say Saint Elmo on it, but the letters have all ghosted, which is appropriate because Saint Elmo is a ghost town.
That is pretty appropriate.
So yeah, it's
What you
the only businesses still open are the gift shop. That's it. St. Elmo is a ghost town except for the gift shop, where you can
so
watch they have like flocks of hummingbirds and like armies of chipmunks, and you can buy stuff to feed the chipmunks.
that's pretty delightful. I was
Yeah.
gonna say you should get some green luminescent paint and repaint it, and then it could be St. Elmo's fire.
Oh god, that's terrible. Awful.
You're
I
welcome.
forbid. How dare you say? So the children never watch the podcast, so I am safe to do this. Um, I saw so Blue is a big fan of Mothman, favorite cryptid, right? And I saw
Hmm.
one of these online, and so I'm making one for him, and it's this.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's so cute, and it's gonna have big bulbous red eyes, and that's gonna go in the. We have a central part of the advent calendar where I try to put
Mhm.
something pretty. Usually, it's like a die or something else I've made, but yeah, this year it's these little guys. So that's that one. Ah, and then
If
no, that's
you
a frog.
if you if you haven't already,
Mhm.
make sure that Mothman has a very well-defined butt. That is a key feature of Mothman as a cryptid.
I haven't yet. I will make sure of that. We've got there's three of them that aren't ready to be seen, and none of them look like they're going to once they have their eyeballs and stuff. But
Well, sure.
I don't know if you've watched any of the Amazing Digital Circus, which is I think there's only one. You know how time will occasionally approach us and be like, I found a thing on YouTube and I want you to watch it, and I've given up fighting because every single time it's something really cool?
Indeed. And also, why would you fight anyway? But yes.
Because it's like, I'm busy, I don't wanna drop everything and go find out what this is, but usually
Oh,
it's like Hillywood or something, like, that's how we've learned what Hillywood was time being like, "Are you too busy now?" And we were finally like, "No, fine, we'll watch it," and we did, and it was like, "Okay, now I'm hooked." Um, Amazing Digital Circus is another one of those, and one of the characters is this long, lanky rabbit man. So I made
Ah, that's awesome.
he's got, and this is teeth. We'll paint him. It'll be great. But yeah, as soon as I put the arms on him, I started laughing uncontrollably because I'm like, he's like,
That that just seems perfect.
yep. So I'll take lots of pictures, post them to Insta. Probably after
I
Saturday.
would I would imagine, yeah, after Saturday. What was I
Because
going to
they
say? If I
do read my
remember,
Insta. They don't watch my podcast, but they do watch my Insta.
yeah. If I remember on Saturday, perhaps I will make Blues Day and wear my Mothman shirt.
That's a
I have
great
a
idea.
shirt that it's actually even better. It's a trans Mothman shirt. So it has Mothman kissing a trans woman, and above it it says "We will always be freaks."
I'll do it
It's
now
great.
because, like, otherwise I might forget. He needs a butt.
He needs a butt. Yes.
All right.
This is this is a key feature of the main Mothman statue.
Okay. Tell me about the
Um,
what? Why is there a main Mothman statue?
because Mothman as a cryptid appeared, oh God, I forget where exactly the town is, but like it's actually like located in a particular area where people were seeing the Mothman. So
Ah,
the town nearest to where Mothman was first seen has a statue in their town square of Mothman with
that is
a juicy
delightful.
butt. It is.
A
It's pretty great.
juicy, juicy, choice little butt.
If you ever want to, BuzzFeed Unsolved did an episode on Mothman, and they went to visit the town and went out into the woods and tried to attract the Mothman with
Aren't
lights and
those guys
stuff.
where one of them just sort of screams periodically because something scares him? It is, isn't it?
No,
No?
I mean they did. There's a non-zero amount of screaming, but no. BuzzFeed Unsolved is the guys I made you watch at one point, who one of them believes in ghosts and the other one doesn't.
Yes, yes.
But they also
Oh,
occasionally will do an episode, well, would do an episode. They now have their own show, but they used to occasionally do an episode about cryptids. So they went to look for Bigfoot, they went to look for Mothman. I think
cool.
those were the only ones.
Have you watched any of the masterclass yet?
I have not. Have you watched any of them?
Yes, we've watched some Neil Gaiman and some Neil deGrasse Tyson. We're on a bit of a Neil kick.
It sounds like it.
Jason falls asleep, but I am enjoying it.
Mm.
They have very soothing voices, and the master classes don't. There's not a lot of like candy. There's not a lot of candy. There's not dramatic music. There's not a lot of like the razzle dazzle. It's just talking about interesting things, and I'm like, this is perfect. Except that Jason's tired at the end of the day. Okay, so how's that for a butt?
I can't. Oh yes, I can see it. That looks great.
Yeah, little ass crack, little pointy butt with an ass
Yeah.
crack.
Yep. Little Jerry the Cherry situation.
Yeah, very.
It's a
Here,
Mariah
think
Elizabeth
about.
deep cut right there.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I remember Jerry the Cherry. We don't watch
that's
nearly enough Mariah anymore.
I still watch a lot of Mariah. I do not watch Nerdy Crafter anymore because she's just doing unboxing and I don't care.
That I was about to say the exact same thing, but if by some miracle news trickles back to Jackie, we care about you. You
Oh
ever
yeah,
do
we
any
care about her.
crafting? Yeah,
I
you
just
ever
don't.
do
Yeah.
any crafting, and I'm there for it. I also do not care about unboxing or mass produced miniatures. Although I love miniatures in general, but like,
But like
uh,
making them, not like
yeah,
opening up 10 of them.
yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
I get it if it's like a health thing where the only thing she has the energy for is this. Maybe it's making her a lot more money because little kids would rather watch the shinies get unboxed. But I just really miss her craft videos. Like I pine for it.
Yeah. It's too bad. Well, I can recommend a new channel that I have recently found called Prickly Alpaca.
I have
Um,
heard of Prickly Alpaca. Why have I
she
heard?
does really fun stuff.
I might be following her on Insta. Didn't know she had a YouTube.
She does. She has a YouTube where she makes a lot of like somewhere in the Venn diagram between like costuming, like making clothes and making cosplay. So
Mm.
she'll be like, I'm making a vampire inspired corset out of foam and spray paint, kind of a
I
thing.
I'm in. I'm in. I'm pretty sure you're the reason I watch Rachel Maxey, so we're not going to argue on this front.
I think I might be, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think I recommended Rachel Maxey to you at some point. So yes. Well, if we have time this weekend, perhaps we'll watch A Prickly Alpaca.
That'd be excellent. Blue wanted to watch Wrath of Khan and was willing to watch it on Rift Tracks, but didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped. It did make him
Oh,
laugh
that's
out
a
loud a
bummer.
few times, but mostly he and Jason just kind of watched it, and I was like, I need to remember that I'm the only one in the household who's really obsessy about the MST ethos.
Hmm.
I forget, and then I want to share my hyper obsession, and then it's kind of like, wah, wah.
Speaking of obsessions and also crafting, let me show you what I'm doing today.
Do
Okay, so, waha. Well, that doesn't tell you anything. All right,
is it a
so
corset?
it's not exactly. So this is a mock-up for a brassiere pattern from 1921. And the key is like, so the instructions, you take it off of like just a basic kind of shirt pattern,
Mm-hmm.
and then they give you instructions on how to add the seams here, to make it supportive and like a little bit of compression, but not a lot. So it's like kind of like the original binder, but
Yeah,
not stretchy. So it's not gonna like keep squeezing past a certain point, right?
right.
And so my goal with it, once I get it to fit, which I think I'm almost there, is that I want to make one as like an undergarment, and then I want to make a Victorian men's shirt and waistcoat to wear over it. And
Nice.
so I'm cutting it, it's like um the Victorian like sewing manuals, a lot of times they'll have that, for this waist size, we cut for this like hip and chest size or whatever. And so the men's ones, waist size 33 corresponds to chest size 37. I have like a 39-inch chest, so I'm pretty close. So I don't
All
really even
right.
need that much compression.
Nice.
I'm gonna have to cut a much larger size for pants if I ever make pants, but I'm not worried about that right now.
All right.
It's like, oh yes, 37. And what should my hips be? 39. Nope. Nice try.
Yeah.
Man,
No.
that was a way more squawky ha than I intended it to be. Oh
You
well.
know, when
Anyways,
you try to infuse a certain amount of squeak into your ha, and sometimes it just spills.
I really prefer to not have any squeak, but unfortunately, um, the vocal cords are cruel masters.
Indeed. Uh, Speaking of which, we were talking of Melkor and stuff. Let's see.
We were. We were on the page just right before like the coming of the elves and Melkor and stuff.
Nonetheless, they will have need of wood, said Aule, and he went on with his smith work. Did we
We were
get that
before
far?
that. We
What?
didn't get we didn't quite get to that part. Yavanna was still talking to Monway, I think.
Oh, okay. Let's
There,
see.
let me get my book and see what the
Oh yeah, that is a strange thought, said Manway, and then we laughed about how he was like, why would you want the defenseless to have a defense? You
That's so weird. What could that be about? Yep, that's where we
person.
were.
Yeah, that is a strange thought, said Manway. Yet it was in the song, said Yavanna. For while thou wert in the heavens, and with Ulmo built the clouds, and poured out the rains, I lifted up the branches of great trees to receive them, and some sang to Iluvatar amid the wind and the rain. Then Manwë sat silent, and the thought of Yavanna that she had put into his heart grew and unfolded. and it was beheld by Iluvatar. Then it seemed to Manwë that the song rose once more about him, and he heeded now many things therein that, though he had heard them, he had not heeded before. This is a man willing to grow and,
Good for you, sir. Good for you.
and add to his perspective, yes. At last the vision was renewed. But it was not now remote, for he was himself within it, and yet he saw that all was upheld by the hand of Iluvatar. And the hand entered in, and from it came forth many wonders that had until then been hidden from him in the hearts of the Ainur. Then Manwë awoke, and he went down to Yavanna upon Ezelohar. Where do we put the frickin' accent on? As, or is it Etzelohar or something like that?
How's it spelled again?
Ezello har.
I would probably say is that Lohar?
All right.
I don't know.
Ezelohar, and he sat beside her beneath the two trees. And Manwë said, O Kementari, Eru hath spoken, saying, do then any of the Valar suppose that I did not hear all the song, even the least sound of the least voice? Behold, when the children awake, then the thought of Yavanna will awake also, and it will summon spirits from afar, and they will go among the Kelvar and the Olvar, and some will dwell therein, and be held in reverence, and their just anger shall be feared. For a time, while the firstborn are in their power, and while the secondborn are young. But dost thou not now remember, Kementari, that thy thoughts sang not always alone? Did not thy thought and mine meet also, so that we took wing together like great birds that soar above the clouds? That also shall come to be by the heed of Iluvatar, and before the children awake, there shall go forth with wings like the wind the eagles of the lords of the west. Yeah.
Cool.
Then Yavanna was glad, and she stood up, reaching her arms toward the heavens, and she said, I shall climb the trees of Kementari, that the eagles of the king may house therein. But Manwë rose also, and it seemed that he stood to such a height that his voice came down to Yavanna as from the paths of the winds. Nay, he said, only the trees of Aule will be tall enough. In the mountains the eagles shall house, and hear the voices of those who call upon us, but in the forests shall walk the shepherds of the trees. Then Manwë and Yavanna parted for that time, and Yavanna returned to Aule, and he was in his smithy pouring molten metal into a mold. Eru is bountiful, she said. Now let thy children beware, for there shall walk a power in the forests whose wrath they will arouse at their peril. Nonetheless, they will have need of wood, said Aule, and he went on with his smith work.
Mowich.
Mowich.
You better look out. Yeah, they're still gonna need wood, baby. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. That's great, but now we're at chapter 3 of the coming of the elves and the captivity of Melkor. Through long ages the Valar dwelt in bliss in the light of the trees beyond the mountains of Aman, but all Middle-earth lay in a twilight under the stars. While the lamps had shone, growth began there, which now was checked because all was again dark. But already the oldest living things had arisen. In the seas, the great weeds, and on earth the shadow of great trees, and in the valleys of the night-clad hills there were dark creatures, old and strong. To those lands and forests the Valar seldom came, save only Yavanna
Typical.
and Orome.
Sir.
Right? Yavanna would walk there in the shadows, grieving because the growth and promise of the spring of Arda was stayed, and she sat asleep upon many things that had arisen in the spring, so that they should not age, but should wait for a time of awakening that yet should be. Pause. Ah!
Yes.
Your hand is huge when you do that.
Sorry, what? You said pause?
No, no. She's pausing. She's wandering around the forest and going, pause. You don't have to pause. You may continue.
Oh,
I apologize
well,
for the invitation.
I already did pause, so it's too late, but thanks.
Damn! But in the north Melkor built his strength, and he slept not, but watched and labored. And the evil things that he had perverted walked abroad, and the land and slumbering woods were haunted by monsters and shapes of dread. In Atumno he gathered his demons about him, those spirits who first adhered to him in the days of his splendor, and became most like him in his corruption. Their hearts were of fire, but they were cloaked in darkness, and terror went before them. They had
Balrogs, Balrogs, I mean, oh no, Balrog.
they had whips of flame.
Dun, dun, dun,
Balrogs
dun.
they were named in
Hey!
Middle-earth in later days. And in that dark time Melkor bred many other monsters of divers shapes and kinds that long troubled the world, and his realm spread now ever southward over Middle-earth. Melkor made also a fortress and armory not far from the northwestern shores of the sea, to resist any assault that may come from Aman. That stronghold was commanded by Sauron, lieutenant of Melkor, and it was named Angband.
Ooh.
Yep.
Even without having read this before, I know bad shit happens at Angband.
Yeah. It came to pass that the Valar held council, for they became troubled by the tidings that Yavanna and Orome brought from the outer lands. Forgive me, I know they're the powers of the world and the most beautiful beings ever, and they've been around since before the creation of anything, but they're such shit sometimes. Like, oh
Look,
no, what shall we do?
look, being super powerful and able to make things does not make you a good administrator.
Right? Yeah. There's no sense of responsibility. The only one showing a sense of responsibility is Melkor. Like, that's not how you overthrow an autocrat, guys.
Yeah, they're not doing great.
No. Yeah, no, C minus at best. Come on.
But again, like, this is the whole problem that people have even unto today in organizations where it's like, hey, you're really good at doing the work, so we're going to promote you to run it. And it's like, oh no, I was just good at doing it. I wasn't actually good at like
Right.
managing it.
That's a completely different job.
It's a completely different job. Some people are good at both, most people are not.
Right?
Same as art and business. Completely different skill set.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I will make an effort to find someone who's good at business, who sucks at art, who wants to run an art business to join forces with me and be Wonder Twins.
See, that's the dream.
Jason could do
Cat.
it if he wasn't already fucking booked.
Yeah, he's got a lot going on business wise
And he's
and art
not
wise.
shy about admitting that he's worried that it would mess with our relationship if we had a business one too. I'm like,
I think that's a pretty good point. Like, it's
right?
always better to not mix business and family, honestly. I mean, like, you can do it, but
There's plenty who do, but there's also lots where that didn't work out at all.
mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to show you something.
Oh
Hang
yeah.
on. Oh, uh,
Ting tang walla walla bing bang.
I was trying to make them. So I'm doing some frogs for Jason, because we can
Hmm.
collaborate creatively. That's not a problem. I was trying to make them look kind of like fluorite, so I did some green and some purple, and look how pretty
Ooh,
they are.
those are very pretty. That came out really cool.
Right, and they do blend in some spots, but the blending color is actually kind of like pleasant and coppery. So,
Yeah, I think that's a really nice combination.
yeah, yep.
I'm trying to get the cat off of my sewing via the laser pointer.
Is it
It's
helping?
sort of working.
Okay.
The problem is I can't do both.
All right. The Valar did hold council, though, for they became troubled by the tidings that Yavanna and Orome brought from the outer lands, and Yavanna spoke before the Valar, saying, Ye mighty of Arda, the vision of Iluvatar was brief and soon taken away, so that maybe we cannot guess within a narrow count of days the hour appointed, yet be sure of this. The hour approaches, and within this age our hope shall be revealed, and the children shall awake. Shall we then leave the lands of their dwelling desolate and full of evil? Shall they walk in darkness while we have light? Shall they call Melkor Lord while Manwë sits upon Taniquetil?
Ho, ho,
Tell
ho,
it like it
ho.
is, Yavanna.
What's that?
Tell it like it is, Yavanna.
Yeah, give it to him, Yavanna.
See? This is why so many of us are tree huggers, because Yavanna kicks ass. Oh my goodness, my hair is
She do.
stacked. Ah. And Tulkas cried, Nay, let us make war swiftly. Have we not rested from strife overlong, and is it not our strength now renewed? Shall one alone contest with us forever? But at the bidding of Manwë, Mandos spoke, and he said, In this age the children of Iluvatar shall come indeed, but they come not yet. Moreover, it is doomed that the firstborn shall come in the darkness, and should look first upon the stars. Great light shall be for their waning. To Varda ever shall they call at need. Then Varda went forth from the council, and she looked out from the height of Taniquetil, and beheld the darkness of Middle-earth beneath the innumerable stars, faint and far. Then she began a great labor, greatest of all the works of the Valar since their coming into Arda. She took the silver dews from the vats of Telperion, and therewith she made new stars, and brighter against the coming of the firstborn. Wherefore, she whose name out of the deeps of time and the labours of Ea was Tintale, the kindler, was called after by the elves Elentari, Queen of the Stars. Carnil and Luinil, Nennar and Lumbar, Alcarinque and Elamire she wrought in that time, and many other of the ancient stars she gathered together and set as signs in the heavens of Arda. Wilwarin, Telumandil, Sornume, and Anarima, which are all, I have to assume, constellations that we still know by different names, because that's how Tolkien rolls.
I was thinking, yeah, most likely.
Yep. Although I wonder if he took procession into account. It would be really cool if he did. It's hard, though.
Well, it's hard without, I was going to say it's hard without knowing exactly how long ago he thought this took place, but then I'm like, he knew how long ago it took place.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know that
It
he ever told us, but he had an idea.
Right, yeah. Telling us was beside the point. He
Yeah.
definitely knew. Yeah, I don't know.
Right? Someone somewhere knows what these what these constellations are that he renamed. And oh, this one's
And if
easy. Menel Makar with his shining belt. Ooh, I know that one.
you Okay, which one is it? The Orion.
Which MST?
Yes.
I remember them doing it
Orion
with.
is bankrupt now.
I don't remember.
Oh man.
Shit.
We'll have to figure it
Oh,
out.
yeah, when you find it, let me know. All I can think is there was a song that I learned in third grade or something that I remember the first part of. So that Orion makes me think of. Orion is arising, you can see his stars ablazing. And the rest of
Hmm.
the song is a hippie lament at light pollution.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Checks
It
out.
was good shit. It was a good childhood I had. I enjoyed it very much. But anyway, Menel Makar with his shining belt that forebodes the last battle that shall be at the end of days. And high in the north, as a challenge to Melkor, she set the crown of 7 mighty stars to swing. Valasirka, the sickle of the Valar, and sign of doom. She literally hung a constellation of a blade in the sky above his stronghold. Like, we gonna get you.
The sword of the Valar is hanging over my head.
That ain't no crime. It is told that even as Varda ended her labors, and they were long, when first Menelmakar strode up the sky and the blue fire of Halloween flickered in the mists above the borders of the world, in that hour the children of the earth awoke, the firstborn of Iluvatar. By the starlit mere of Cuivienen, water of awakening, they rose from the sleep of Iluvatar, and while they dwelt yet silent by Cuivienen, their eyes beheld first of all things the stars of heaven. Therefore they have ever loved the starlight, and have revered Varda Elentari above all the Valar. In the changes of the world, the shapes of lands and of seas have been broken and remade. Rivers have not kept their courses, neither have mountains remained steadfast, and to Cuivienen there is no returning. But it is said among the elves that it lay far off in the east of Middle-earth and northward, and it was a bay in the inland sea of Helkar, and that sea stood where aforetime the roots of the mountain of Iluin had been, before Melkor overthrew it. Many waters flowed down thither from heights in the east, and the first sound that was heard by the elves was the sound of water flowing, and the sound of water falling over stone. Long they dwelt in their first home by the water under stars, and they walked the earth in wonder, and they began to make speech, and to give names to all things that they perceived. Themselves they named the Quendi, signifying those that speak with voices, for as yet they had met no other living things that spoke or sang. And on a time it chanced that Orome rode eastward in his hunting, and he turned north by the shores of Helkar, and passed under the shadows of the Olakarni, the mountains of the east. Then on a sudden Nahar set up a great neighing and stood still, and Orome wondered and sat silent, and it seemed to him that in the quiet of the land under the stars he heard afar off many voices singing.
Dun, dun,
Dun
dun.
dun dun!
I don't
What?
know why I made that sound like bad. It's a good thing.
Right. Da, 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 da. There we go.
Dun,
I fixed
dun.
it.
Ooh.
I needed to fetch a back scratcher. My back itches. I have been having problems with hairs lately. Like a single hair will get under my shirt and live between my shoulder blades, and it's just the worst. It's
I
absolutely the
hate
worst.
that for you.
Yeah. Or it'll be on my arm and I have to like stop everything I'm doing and find the hair before I can function again. If I ever become schizophrenic, which can happen to the best of us, the sign will be that I can't remove the hair from my skin. Like there will be a single hair that I feel all the time, and oh, it just it is anguish.
Sometimes I get ones that'll fall, like one will fall out of my hair because
Uh,
most of my hair, of course, is in front of my face, and it'll get like between my eye and my glasses. That's really annoying too.
yeah. Blah. Um. They many voices singing. Thus it was that the Valar found at last, as it were by chance, those whom they had so long awaited. And Orome, looking upon the elves, was filled with wonder, as though they were beings sudden and marvelous and unforeseen. For so it shall ever be with the Valar. From without the world, though all things may be forethought in music or foreshown in vision from afar, to those who enter verily into Ea, each in its time shall be met at unawares as something new and unforetold. The Iluvatar knows how to surprise you even if you think you know what you're expecting.
Well, I think there's always a difference between expecting something and it actually happening too.
Right? Oh, yeah. I burst into tears when I saw the Eiffel Tower. It was still 10 miles away. It was just this little thing on the horizon when I circled the cathedral, and there it was off in the distance, and I was like, holy shit, it's real! It's real. It's here. I always had like this list of fictional places. Paris was one of them. But I didn't know that until I saw it.
Well, I'm also remembering when Time was born and all of us cried and Ryan went, "There was a baby in there."
That was beautiful. Yeah, exactly. So that's Orome right here. There was a baby in there. Holy crap. Oh.
As a side note, for the amusement of the internet, and also because I don't know if you remember this, to be honest, do you remember the nurse telling you like, okay, just think about meeting your baby, and you're like, I just want to see the color of this baby's eyes, and I think it was mom went white, I think, because she thought you said the color of this baby's ass.
Yeah, mom asked. That's what I said.
It may have been, I don't remember for sure that it was mom. It may have even been the nurse being like, what? Because you and Nate were both sitting there, and she's like, is there a story here?
Good times. I remember contractions. I know they tell you you're not supposed to, but I do.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Well, fortunately, you're done with all of that.
Mom trying to help me with the meditation, and you're a flower that's opening. What flower's on fire, Mom?
You didn't explain at the time. You just went, no flowers, no flowers, no flowers. And she was like,
waves?
Okay, waves?
Waves are fine. Waves worked.
Yeah, it wasn't until a couple weeks later that she was like, what was up with the flower thing? And you were like, the flower exploded.
It was burning. It was burning to ash. Ah. In the beginning, the elder children of Iluvatar were stronger and greater than they have since become, but not more fair, for though the beauty of the Quendi in the days of their youth was beyond all other beauty that Iluvatar had caused to be, it has not perished, but lives in the west, and sorrow and wisdom have enriched it. And Orome loved the Quendi, and named them in their own tongue Eldar, the people of the stars. But that name was after borne only by those who followed him upon the westward road. Yet many of the Quendi were filled with dread at his coming, and this was the doing of Melkor. For by after knowledge the wise declare that Melkor, ever watchful, was first aware of the awakening of the Quendi, and sent shadows and evil spirits to spy upon them and waylay them. So it came to pass, some years ere the coming of Orome, that if any of the elves strayed far abroad, alone or few together, they would often vanish and never return. And the Quendi said that the hunter had caught them, and they were afraid. Indeed, the most ancient songs of the elves, of which echoes are remembered still in the west, tell of the shadow shapes that walked in the hills above Quivianen, or would pass suddenly over the stars, and of the dark rider upon his wild horse that pursued those that wandered to take them and devour them. Now Melkor greatly hated and feared the riding of Orome, and either he sent indeed his dark servants as riders, or he set lying whispers abroad for the purpose that the Quendi should shun Orome, if ever they should meet. Thus it was that when Nahar neighed and Orome indeed came among them, some of the Quendi hid themselves, and some fled and were lost. But those that had courage and stayed perceived swiftly that the great rider was no shape out of darkness, for the light of Aman was in his face, and all the noblest of the elves were drawn towards it. Useful that the intuition that, oh no, you're a good guy, we like you.
Yeah, well, it's that whole internal external thing that Tolkien has going on, where it's like if you look fair, it's because you are, unless you look too fair.
Right, right, and yeah, whatever. It's a whole universe of Shallow Hal.
That's one way to put it, sure.
I don't say I would watch that movie twice, but I'm glad I saw it once because the trailers made it out to be very different from what it was.
That is true.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would hold up.
No, not at all. But for when it was made, it needed to be made, and it does give a very nice. I actually even now I get like angry on his behalf because the power to tell a person's inner qualities by how attractive you find them is something that is like really a superpower. Like he had his superpower taken away. That was
Well, yeah. Um, I feel like I was going to say something, but I don't think it was related, and I can't remember what it was.
Orome, he's pretty. They like him. No?
No.
Yeah. Oh, a lot of Jack Black films are exactly made at exactly the right time and then could not have been made any later than they were.
I think a lot of films from the era that he was making, a lot of, like most of his work in general, are that way, where you're like, like I'm trying to remember what it was I watched. Oh, when I was getting tattooed last year, we watched The Hot Chick with Rob Schneider.
Oh, that one really bothers me.
That one, here's the thing. That one is a trans narrative that does not know it's a trans narrative and also has the typical early 2000s transphobia. But like I was watching it just being like, okay, but now he's he's just a trans woman. Like the teenage girl goes into that body and then she's a trans woman and has to deal with and like that there's actually some gender stuff that you could unpack there. Don't bother, but you
Oh,
could.
yeah. Yeah, I think the every time they went back to what her body is up to with Rob Schneider in it and the implication that he immediately became a hooker.
Yeah, that was upsetting.
Yeah. I was not
Like,
okay with that. I was
yeah.
really upset by that actually. Um
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
anyway,
we don't need to think any further about that movie, but
nope.
I was in a tattoo chair and I could not move.
There was a Rob Schneider movie that came out in that general era where I was pleasantly surprised. I damned if I can recall what it was. I'll let you know if I ever remember.
Probably the only one he ever made that was any good, whatever it was.
Whatever it was. Yeah. The Rob Schneider era was a weird era for Hollywood. Anyway, but of those unhappy ones who were ensnared by Melkor, little is known of a certainty. For who of the living has descended into the pits of Utumno, or has explored the darkness of the councils of Melkor. Yet this is held true by the wise of Erisea, that all those of the Quendi who came into the hands of Melkor ere Autumno was broken were put there in prison, and by slow arts of cruelty were corrupted and enslaved. And thus did Melkor breed the hideous race of the orcs in envy and mockery of the elves, of whom they were afterwards the bitterest foes. For the orcs had life and multiplied after the manner of the children of Ilúvatar. Think on that.
Don't
I always
wanna.
I was grateful to Peter Jackson for giving us that sort of like, so they're grown.
Right? They come out of an egg. Don't think about it too hard. It's fine.
Yeah, slimy labs kind of thing. Yeah, no.
Yes.
No.
Much preferable to any other option.
Right? And naught that had life of its own, nor the semblance of life, could ever Melkor make since his rebellion in the Ainulindale before the beginning. So say the wise. And deep in their dark hearts the orcs loathed the master whom they served in fear, the maker only of their misery. Thus it may be, this it may be was the vilest deed of Melkor, and the most hateful to Ilúvatar. Orome tarried a while among the Quendi, and then swiftly he rode back over land and sea to Valinor, and brought the tidings to Valmar. And he spoke of the shadows that troubled Cuiviénen. Then the Valar rejoiced, and yet they were in doubt amid their joy, and they debated long what counsel it were best to take for the guarding of the Quendi from the shadow of Melkor.
They are such terrible administrators.
So,
Like, oh, well, I don't know what we should do. It's like he's literally killing people right now.
yeah,
Like,
he's
could you
torturing
decide?
them. He's torturing the people you're
Right.
responsible for protecting. These. Oh my god.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's not even killing them. He's torturing them.
Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
You could stop it. There's 14 of you and one of him. You could stop him. No? Oh, you're gonna pull UN? Just gonna wring your hands? Set up sanctions?
Jesus.
But Orome, because we love Orome, returned at once to Middle-earth and abode with the elves. Manwë sat long in thought upon Taniquetil, and he sought the counsel of Ilúvatar. And coming then down to Valmar, he summoned the Valar to the Ring of Doom, and thither came even Ulmo from the outer sea. Then Manwë said to the Valar, "This is the counsel of Ilúvatar in my heart, that we should take up again the mastery of Arda at whatsoever cost, and deliver the Quendi from the shadow of Melkor." Could have thought of
No
that
shit.
before, right? Yeah, I wonder if his communing with Ilúvatar's voice was like, "Now is the time to do this thing," instead of "You little bitches."
See, I picture Iluvatar more like when someone at work doesn't do the thing that they're supposed to do, and I say, "So what was the commitment that you and I made at the beginning of time?" "Oh, it was to protect the Quendi." "Yeah, that's what I remember too. So how's that been going?" "Oh, and why haven't you done anything about Melkor yet?"
Yeah.
"Well, what do we need to do to make sure that Melkor gets defeated?" "Whatsoever cost." "Yeah, that sounds great. And when can I check in to make sure that's been done?"
Right.
And congratulations, you just speed ran what it's like to have me as a boss.
Oh, so, yeah.
Once again, administration is a different skill.
It's such a, yeah. Then
I couldn't
Tulkas,
make the world, but man, I could have organized the Valar.
right? Like, what did you think would happen, gang? What did you sat there in bliss? Bliss is a good time to like be thinking ahead and thinking about what's going to happen. Oh well. I mean,
Yeah, they're like, oh,
they're not actually any lower quality than any of the other gods that have actually been worshipped on in the primary world. So like,
oh no.
yeah. At least they mean well.
That's something.
Then Tulkas was glad, but Aule was grieved, foreboding the hurts of the world that must come of that strife. But the Valar, did Aule hope that Melkor would just get bored with it and wander off? Was that really what I bet he did. But
I
the
mean,
Valar,
Aule would have gotten bored with it.
he gets bored with nothing. He loves making shit, but then he passes on to the next thing. Yeah, he thought
Well,
Melkor would
but
just pass on to the next thing.
yeah, and Aule doesn't get bored of making shit, but if he wasn't making shit, he would get bored. So
Yes.
he figured that Melkor would eventually get bored of being evil and want to do something more creative and interesting.
See, that's the problem with measuring someone's corn in your own bushel when they're two completely
Mhm.
different sizes.
It is, and that is an extremely extremely agricultural metaphor you just made there.
And it works in both directions because I heard it from an Anne of Green Gables book, measuring her corn in his own half bushel and coming up short thereby is a like she knew his secret, and if she was anything like him, she would tell it far and wide, and it didn't occur to him
Mhm.
that she's not like that kind of thing. So yeah,
Yep.
but works both ways. If you're like, I'm a good person and I would do this, so he'll do it. No. But
Yep.
anyway, we're just about there. But the Valar made ready and came forth from Aman in strength of war, resolving to assault the fortresses of Melkor and make an end. Never did Melkor forget that this war was made for the sake of the elves, and that they were the cause of his downfall. Yet they had no part in those deeds, and they know little of the riding of the might of the West against the North in the beginning of their days. Like, it's your fault this happened! What happened? We weren't even there!
We didn't even know it was happening.
Oh, fuck! Alright. I'm
Man, yeah, you really
guessing.
can't see what I did today, but I did stuff.
Awesome. And I will, so we'll probably take Christmas Eve. Well, I could read on Christmas Eve.
Let's see how it goes because I'm about to have a real crazy week. So yeah, let's see how I'm feeling.
Brilliant. Sunday or Monday or whatever. Or we wait another week after that. We shall play it by ear.
Okie dokie.
I love you. Thanks for bitching about the bad administration of the Valar with me, because that is so much easier to deal with company.
You are so welcome. Yeah, no, they're not good managers.
No, very ineffective. Except maybe my girl Yavanna, who kept being like, chop chop, guys.
Okay, guys, are we gonna do something? Yeah, no, Yavanna is the one person in any group project who's like, guys,
Right.
we're supposed like we haven't done, guys. They're coming in this age. Are we gonna be ready? And everyone's like, nah, it's fine. And then lo and behold, they were not ready.
Right. Yeah, not even it's fine, but we'll deal with that later. Deal with it. Well, anyway.
Anywho, well, I will see you on Saturday.
Okay, I can't wait. Morning?
Ish. Probably I would say like 11-ish is probably the earliest I'm gonna make it down there.
Okay. All right. Aim as early as you can.
Okay,
Because, you know,
I
we
will do
don't
that.
open presents till you get here.
Yes, I know.
And the children are big enough to beat me up now.
Well, it's your own fault that you decided to become outnumbered. I don't know what to tell you.
All right, cuidado.
Yamas.
Bye.
Bye.